Dear colleagues, good afternoon. We continue with a report on the situation in the east of Ukraine. We'll hear from Oleksandr Motuzyanyk, Presidential Administration spokesperson on issues connected with the ATO. Please, Colonel. Good afternoon, colleagues. The insurgents demonstrate increasing aggressiveness according to the Joint Coordination and Control Center. In the night from 18th to 19th May, Pisky became one of the hotbeds of the conflict, with fighting and shootings from the side of the legal military formations that were quenched only about 1 a.m. They work according to the scorched earth principles, using white phosphorus shells to shoot residential quarters. You can see this photo with a residential house that burned for 12 hours. At the moment, the information about the use of such prohibited munition has been checked by our professionals. May we remind that it is forbidden according to Protocol 3 to the Convention on Ban and Limitation of Specific Types of Conventional Munitions. Renewed fights can be observed on Mariupol direction nearby Shirokino. It includes not just small arms, but also snipers. 122mm cannons and tanks have been used from Sakhanka and Donetsk direction. Military actions continue in the area between Krasnogorivska and Svetlodarska. The enemy actively uses heavy munitions and heavy armaments, from tanks to APVs to 120mm mortars and cannons. In spite of that, the epicenter remains at the outskirts of Donetsk and Horlivsk, and insurgents try to find weak places in our defense lines. On Lugansk directions, fire was held from grenade launchers against our positions around Popasna and Zolote. There are complications in Shastyo, where 122mm cannons were used and sniper fire was registered. One military serviceman from Ukraine was killed and 8 wounded throughout the day. The most losses were sustained during the fight on the Svetlodarska line of defense. According to OSCE SMM, the insurgents have not pulled back their heavy armaments from their division line. Our observers found presence of 9 T-72 tanks around Torres, temporarily controlled of the so-called DNR, and 4 more tanks on territories occupied by LRR. Security Service of Ukraine has published new confirmations of Russian aggression against Ukraine, and they managed to restore the full picture of Russian military servicemen participation on the territory of Lugansk region and their involvement in military actions against ATO forces of Ukraine. And we remind that Sergeant Oleksandr and Captain Yerofeyev from Russia were held prisoners by Ukrainian servicemen from 92nd Brigade nearby Shastyo on 16th of May. You can check for slides to see the sniper rifle taken from them. During the interrogation, they confirmed they are active servicemen from the 3rd Special Brigade of the Russian Federation's military forces. They also disclosed information about other Russian fighters on Lugansk region. Russia continues denying the obvious facts. Specifically, the wife of Sergeant Alexandrov, in her interview to Russian media, said she had no information about whereabouts of her husband, but the Security Service of Ukraine has discovered that she effectively is in service in the same brigade that her husband is. The insurgents systematically prevent successful restoration of infrastructure on Donbass. According to information, preliminary agreement was reached to involve Ukrainian repair brigades to restore water supply Siversky Donetsk Donbass water channel around Mayorsk to supply the water to Yanakiv and Donetsk, but when the brigades came to the location of the location, they were shelled from grenade launchers and small armaments, which prevented them from completing the job. According to information from Ukrainian special forces, the insurgents in Korlevka dismantle metal construction in the mine named after Lenin. This may lead to increased levels of subsoil waters and methane seeping in basements of surrounding residential buildings and further deterioration of the situation in the east of Ukraine. Ukrainian law enforcers detained 2 members of illegal bandit formations. One of them from Avdiivka joined the Vostok military detachment in 2014. He worked in the so-called military office in Yasinuvata, overlooking the prisoners. According to his words, he was promised really mountains of gold, and that was what compelled him to join.
The leadership of illegal military formations suggested to him to pay for this for his faults, and they gave him a task to correct the fire of militants in Avdiivka. He infiltrated, did what they told him, and he made 34 calls, and he reported on the positions of ATL. Other arrested, unemployed, didn't study, and he participated in taking local police capture, and also then received uniform and a machine gun. Submachine gun. He was guarded. He was on checkpoints and also inspected so-called organization of the surface on checkpoints of militants. After Avdiivka was liberated, he went underground, but now he will have a chance to rest from criminal activity in Ukrainian prison. Security Service Ukraine successful blocks schemes to finance militants. Together with the State Service of Financial Monitoring, they blocked accounts of leaders of pro-Russian leaders, DNR, that belonged to militants of the highest top rank, and they had about 14 million hryvnia. Because of professional work of our SBU, that money will not go for money, they will not serve for Russian mercenaries. In Kharkiv, local court sentenced a leader of Vostok Group and 42 years resident of Kharkiv. Since March last year, he participated actively in the separatist activities in Kharkiv. He spread anti-Ukrainian propaganda and called to commit crimes against Ukrainian government. And during the search of that group, in their office, they found flags and other symbols of DNR. Activity of that gang in Kharkiv and resources in the internet was stopped. Ukrainian police finds illegal arsenals in ATO area. During the checking a car, they found gun, grenades and cartridges for guns and submachine guns, and they also found anti-tank grenade, grenade and 2 knives, and in the apartment in Severodonetsk, and that weapons went to expertise. In the Yasinuvata district, police have found a secret place of weapons in a grove. There was anti-tank grenade launcher and RPG, 7V1 shell, a sack with 5 throttle explosions, a wire with detonators and electro detonators. Police is trying to find the owner of this arsenal. Ukrainian military strengthened their medical training. In Dnipropetrovsk region, there were final practical trainings on technical medicine. The main goal is to train military men of skills for the first aid to wounded and self-assistance, and also training during combats. At the end, they received more than 20 modern first aid kits. Our competence Marines in the south of Donetsk, they had some events on military education about in high school and two schools. They gave a chance to learn about BTR-AT, different types of shooting small arms and other ammunition. To the east of Ukraine, humanitarian aid comes to the east of Ukraine through Raihorodko. 3 trucks went humanitarian aid to residents of Luhansk. 42 tons of food were given by Red Cross. Ukraine guarantees security to cargoes from Donetsk to Sakhanka. Representative of Ukraine in the Coordination Center Control ceasefire Major General Andriy Taran told. Now the story about policemen who are on the front line of defense of our motherland. Today in Troitsk there is a part of unit of police from Ternopil. They say the majority of our local people, they left that town because of the shelling and explosions of shelling of the militants. Not far. They built a special place, and one of the construction companies that started to work in Luhansk region, they helped them to put everything for the protection. Before the unannounced war, there were about 2,000 people living in Troitsk, and now not more than 200 of them are there. Ternopil police, they became friends with the local people, and they wanted to have peace in Ukraine. This is all information I have, and if there's any question, I will be happy to answer. Thank you, Oleksandr. If there is any question from journalists, please. If not, thank you very much, and see you, and